The gift that keeps on giving. More Marvel Rivals leaks coming on for what's beyond Season 1. As we can see right here on screen, XOX_leaks on X and a lot of other reliable sources have been data mining the sources and the files in Season 1. And we have uncovered a lot of different upcoming potential characters that could be developed for the future of Marvel Rivals. So, of course, if you guys are interested in this kind of content, make sure to go ahead and drop a like in the like button down below and subscribe, turn on notifications if you guys want to stay up to date with more future Marvel Rivals news, information, theories, wish lists, and of course leaks. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So right here, as we can see, last video we covered new characters that were going to be coming in the potential beyond Season 1 of Marvel Rivals, and we covered like 17 different characters. This time around, we're going to be covering another really important facet of the leaks, which is Marvel Rivals leaked maps. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, they didn't just leak upcoming characters, we also got entire maps that would potentially give us a hint on where they're thinking of taking the lore for future seasons. Because obviously right now, the whole lore aspect is surrounding Dracula and what that's doing to New York. So let's see where their mind is at for future seasons and what kind of stories they might be wanting to tell. And there is a theme here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. As we can see, I'm going to be uncovering and giving some context to some of these maps, which not everyone may know about. I know that I didn't know about some of these, and I want to go ahead and give the context so that way you guys can be informed, and that way you guys can also be on the same page as me. So starting off with the first map, we have Erico. Erico is one of those maps where after looking into it, it is a sentient island, which I'm going to be posting on screen right now, and I'm going to be reading directly from the wiki. We can see right here, Erico was a sister entity of Krakoa. If you guys are familiar with the name Krakoa, it's because it has a lot to do with the X-Men, specifically Magneto, and where mutants come from. It says right here, and I continue, both were once part of Okara, a sentient island that existed in the South Pacific. Okara became a home to a nation of mutants ruled by Apocalypse and his wife Genesis several thousands of years prior to the modern age. So essentially, there was like some nuclear testing out and in the Pacific, and it turned these islands into sentient beings, and it is believed that a lot of these mutants actually also stem from there as well. So that is one of the first maps that's going to be coming from there. So right off the bat, we can already have this vibe that Marvel Rivals is going to be leaning heavily into these whole mutant storyline, right? I mean, at least off the first map alone. Let's go ahead and dive into the next one. So the next map that we have right here is Krakoa. And just like how I just mentioned Krakoa being the sibling island to Erico, it seems like they are going to go ahead and build up a main island. However, Krakoa doesn't currently exist, so obviously given the whole aspect of Marvel Rivals, like the concept behind the actual game story, which is basically that you have all these different timelines converging, so you have the ability to bring in characters that maybe already died in the main established lore, but maybe are, you know, so you have the ability to play around, mix and match things around. So Krakoa, if I'm not mistaken, was an island that was already destroyed in the 3rd annual Hellfire Gala, which is a story arc that Marvel Comics do every once in a while, and it doesn't exist anymore. But I believe that this is one of the islands that Magneto always does talk about as well. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, but Magneto has a strong affinity, and by extension, the mutants have a strong affinity to these islands. Again, this is considered to be like the birthplace of mutants and where they most of all come from. So obviously, these have some strong ties to that overall storyline. The next map that I'm going to be listing right here right now, this is not in the order, but I do want to bring it up because it is relevant to the previous two, is actually the X Mansion. So we can pretty much already safely assume we have characters like Cyclops, we have characters like Professor X, we have Jean Grey, we have Emma Frost, we have Colossus, we have all these X-Men related characters who have already been leaked by XOX and previous reliable sources. And then we have 3 maps directly related on not only with the X-Men, but just in general with the existence of mutants. I think it's pretty much safe to assume that Marvel Rivals has got a huge mutant storyline planned in the near future. My take on it is that it's going to involve the Dark Phoenix and its impact on the overall Marvel universe as well. Because it's not a coincidence that we're bringing in the birthplace of mutants in 2 different islands and also the X-Mansion and not go ahead and have that converge in any sort of way with the other characters that are also going to be coming in. There's definitely going to be some story implications here. When they're going to be doing all of this, again, I feel like these kinds of stories are stories that they have to flesh out a lot more, especially given the fact that a lot of people who are coming into Marvel Rivals, they're not too privy to the in-depth lore of the Marvel Universe, so they kind of have to do kind of like a beginner's course and clue people into what these character interactions are like and who these characters are in regards to their overall environment before they actually go ahead and take the story onto a large scale. Kind of like how they're doing right now with Season 1, where we're being slowly introduced to the characters relevant to the whole storyline with Dracula, how Blade got defeated, and how we're going to see the impact of that correlate with the other characters coming into Season 1 and potentially Season 2 as well. The other map that we have on the list right here is Thieves Egypt. And Thieves Egypt is a very interesting location. Obviously, this is a location that does exist in real life, and a lot of people might be saying, well, what's the relevance of a map that's based on a real world location? Well, Thieves Egypt, obviously, what hero do we have in the MCU, or not even just in the MCU, in the Marvel universe overall, that is completely relevant to the Egyptian lore? And that, my friends, is Moon Knight. Thieves Egypt is obviously a city that's on the Nile in Upper Egypt. It survived into the modern day and was the home to Dr. Batter, the Hunter's Moon. Now, this is a character that was born in Luxor, Egypt, the two doctors. Basically, he is like the other side of Khonshu. So it's like the opposite of Moon Knight, but he is another Moonlight related character. As you guys can see on screen right here, it states Yea, who is this guy right here, the Hunter's Moon, survived and became a worshiper of Khonshu known as Hunter's Moon, the god's second high priest, and the opposite of Mark Spector, the Moon Knight. After Moon Knight rejected to worship Khonshu but appropriated his mission, establishing a congregation called the Midnight Mission, Batter moved his territory and took over a free clinic in the neighborhood, keeping watch of Moon Knight. Batter intended to correct the vigilante, whom he believed had strayed away from Khonshu's purpose. So essentially, not necessarily a mentor figure, but maybe like a corrective figure to Mark Spector. I feel like if they introduce Thieves Egypt, maybe potentially we might see another character like Hunter's Moon, and maybe they go ahead and place him into a different facet of the game. Maybe not DPS, maybe a Vanguard, or maybe a support character, but these interactions for both of these characters I feel like would be critical for this, unless it serves an overall purpose, once again, because another character that also has to do with Egypt, or at least in the mainline universe that a lot of people know from the Fox movies, would have to end up being Apocalypse. And Apocalypse is another character that has a lot to do with Egypt, at least in the movies again, and if they go ahead and connect it that way, then that would also segue easily into the whole overall mutant story arc that I had just discussed. So there is a heck of a lot of potential in that map right there. The next map that was also leaked is the Collector's Theme Park. And if you guys have seen Guardians of the Galaxy, or if you guys have even seen Marvel Avengers Infinity War, or anything of the sort like that, you guys already know that the Collector is a character in the Marvel universe who does collect a lot of beings and a lot of like sentient species or mutated species from all over the galaxy and just has them all harbored. So this Collector's Theme Park sounds more like it's going to be maybe like a fun event sort of map. I don't think that it's necessarily going to correlate too strongly with the overall plot that they're going to be telling. I feel like if it were correlated to the plot, it would probably have something more to do with mutants, because that's kind of like the impression that we're getting off of all these maps, where it seems to all correlate to a common storyline. With a map like the Collector, I feel like it just lends itself to fun Easter eggs, maybe for like an anniversary for Marvel characters or anything like that. They might be wanting to go ahead and release this map to kind of be like a thank you to all the players. Who knows? Maybe even something by the end of the year when they want to do like the 1 year anniversary for the game Marvel Rivals. But I'm not to say that this is going to be the case. It's just theories and speculations. I just feel like the overall premise of the map is really just a whole bunch of Easter eggs laid around all over the place, while also being a fun map. As long as that's the mainstay of the game, then I feel like we're all going to be really happy with this one as well. And the next one that we have here, and last but not least, it's the Hydra themed map. So Marvel Rivals already has a Hydra-themed map. Obviously, it's the one where they keep the Eldritch being within, and I feel like it really slapped in the right ways in the sense that a lot of players really do enjoy that map. A lot of Conquest game modes are played on it and things of the sort. It's a really fun map to play on, and I feel like Hydra-themed maps are interesting as long as you keep playing around with the ideologies that Hydra had like throughout their existence, right? So all these different interests that they had, whether it be archaeology or anything like that, different facets to like what they were trying to gain power from. For example, in the MCU movies, we've seen that Hydra try to gain power from the Tesseract, right? So if we can have like a dig site where the Tesseract is there or anything like that, I feel like that would gain more interest in the map overall, because obviously if it's just a regular themed military base, that might get a little bit boring as time goes on. I feel like right now Marvel Rivals' major strong suit is the fact that they have the liberty to choose from so many creative locations, and that so far they have been very creatively active in all these locations. I mean, we have a map of Wakanda in space, for crying out loud. You know, like how better can it get than that? And I feel like a Hydra theme map, with the way that NetEase has been developing their maps as is, it has a lot of potential to go ahead and explore the different facets of Hydra overall as a facility, and also lend credence to their mysteries and their questions surrounding the organization overall. So maybe some more Easter eggs, maybe some more dialogues related to Maybe Hydra had to go ahead and, if I had to think of a connection between Hydra and the mutants, maybe Hydra had some sort of plan to either go ahead and get rid of mutants, or maybe they were experimenting on mutants. Maybe that's the kind of things that we're going to find in this base, if it is a base where they experimented on other beings, which I feel like, you know what, given Hydra's MO, it would not be too far off the charts to go ahead and believe. So that's the leaks so far. Obviously, there's a lot more leaks that I'm going to be covering. I have a barrage of videos breaking all these down. So if you guys want to stay up to date with all these leaks, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and the like button down below. Subscribe with turn notification bells icon on so that way you can stay up to date with the latest and greatest videos. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace out, everyone.